love that Kyle Shanahan is wrapping his arms around Brock Purdy, like wrapping his arms, giving him a big old hug. I've been waiting 7 years for somebody for Shanahan to wrap his arm around the quarterback and say, "This is my guy, and I'm going to live and die with him." Not because I want to see him die with Brock Purdy. I want to see Brock Purdy succeed, but I want Shanahan to be responsible for the quarterback in the room, and he's always had an out. He's always had an excuse.
It's not the guy I wanted. I wanted Kirk, but they wanted Jimmy. You know, all that. Yeah. Maybe I wanted Mac Jones more than Trey Lance. I'll never really say. Yeah.
So here's the thing. He doesn't get an out for performance. If Brock Purdy isn't the guy he said he was, he doesn't get an out for that. And he doesn't get an out for injury either. If he can't keep Brock Purdy healthy, that is on him. Yep. Because if he learned his lesson from last year, he's got to change the way that he does things. Fine, you get a pass. Your tight end missed a block, whatever. Guess who's rushing from the right side week 1? TJ Watt. Yeah. If we have another play where Brock Purdy's in a 7-step drop and TJ Watt is supposed to be handled by a tight end or a chipping running back.
Or Colton McKivitz.
Dear Lord. I mean, if they do that, TJ Watt will – I mean, that guy, that's their Bosa. He will destroy Brock Purdy.
And the other guy on the other side had 14.5 sacks. So, I mean, they can take turns. They probably both want a little bit of Colton McKivitz. Because you know what Colton McKivitz is from a defensive end's perspective? A payday. Yeah. A payday. I'm getting paid this week. Oh, I'm putting up numbers this week.
It's like when Jordan would see a backup. When Jordan would see a backup was covering him, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, 50. I'm going for 50."
And like Highsmith's going to go to the D coordinator and be like, "It's not fair that TJ Watt gets to go against McKivitz. Can I get some McKivitz snaps? I want to feed my family too. Honestly, I want to feed my family too. This is ridiculous. Let me get some McKivitz action." That's who he is. He's the green light.
So that's the thing, right? They didn't put the resources into offensive line. They put the resources into this ridiculous Hargrave signing, which is somehow admitting the Buckner mistake, but at the same time allocating resources they don't have, assuming that they're budgeted for Nick Bosa. Like, you can budget for that. That should have been the first thing. That they shouldn't have signed or done a damn thing until they got Nick Bosa taken care of. And
they could have got Nick Bosa taken care of last year. They could have signed him. There's no rule against it. But this is how the Niners like to do business. You like to draw it out to the end, like you could possibly win this negotiation. Cool. You better have him on the field week 1. If you lose week 1 and he's not out there, first of all, his price just went up. Second of all, everyone thinks you're really incompetent.
They're at a crossroads right now, because if Kyle Shanahan has learned his lesson and Brock Purdy really is his guy, they could go on a really good run this year. The NFC is still weak. I mean, look for a team. Is it the New York Giants? Is it the Lions? The Eagles have taken a step back. Do you believe in the Cowboys? Is Seattle for real? The Niners are the only real team in the NFC this year. The path is right there. It's right there in front of them.
The NFC is so much worse than the AFC. So much worse.
Absolutely. They could be a 15-2 dominant team rolling through the playoffs with everything in front of them, or they could get their quarterback injured in week 1. They don't get their D end dealt with. Nick Bosa has a bad year because he's now not in shape. There's all kinds of things that could just They have no offensive line depth. They could have 1 or 2 guys go down on the offensive line. And now we're looking at 10-7, and we're on the road in the playoffs, and it's a tough road, and we get knocked out in the divisional. And it's another year inside this window where we didn't get it together. And we don't have that many more years in this window. And Kyle Shanahan needs to be responsible for that outcome. He is the shepherd of this team. He's the guy who's guiding them to the finish line. This is a now or never year. You got to go. You can't just sit there and say, well, we have more excuses. We had injuries. We had this. I don't want to hear none of that this year. They've got their guy at quarterback. They've got a down.
They got the weakest
division.
NFC. Yeah,
they've got a down conference.
Like 2 teams in their own division that are tanking, not just one.
They call their own roster the best in the NFL. They're so proud of themselves.
They got the best coach. They got the best coach. Yeah, they got it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to see it week 1 this year. I don't want to see any more of this ridiculous, let's be last year's team, let's make mistakes, let's take a while to speed up or get into groove or whatever it is that they do. We need to beat the hell out of the Steelers week 1, make a statement, and go on a run, because they've told us everything is set up for that. And it's time to go, man. I'm jacked for this year, but it could turn real quick.
Hey, Josh, I just want to say one thing before you go.
What's that?
Wayne's World, party time, excellent. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. You look just like Wayne from Wayne's World. I appreciate it. With the hat. Dude, I'm sorry. I had to do it. I was thinking it the whole time. When did it hit you that he was dressed just like Wayne from Wayne's World? 3 minutes in? 2 minutes in? If you go back and you notice I was typing, I was looking up Wayne just to make sure and yes, he looked just like him. Karan, let's talk.
2 minutes in.
Okay, 2 minutes in.